Hello, 'tis I, Wayward Brigand. As you probably know, there are many games to play for PC. Many of the very best, though, you have to pay for. However, you do have options when it comes to games you don't have to pay for. Today, I present to you my very first Wayward List, my top 5 free games on Steam. Obviously, this is my opinion. If you disagree, post your picks in the comments. So, let's get going. Well, I feel slightly embarrassed to start off this list with a clicker game, but at least there's only one, and it's only number 5. For those of you who don't have enough dignity to know what a clicker game is, or an idle game as it's also known, it's an incredibly simple type of game where you click something to gain currency that is used to upgrade your clicking abilities and, more often than not, enhancing minions or abilities that click for you. Usually you're clicking some sort of monster or enemy. Upgrades for you and your helpers usually grow in cost exponentially, so time between upgrades expands the further you play. In most games like this, you eventually gain the ability to reset your progress for an upgrade, to either how much currency you make or how much damage you and your minions deal. Time clickers is a slight variation on this formula. See, in most clicker games, you just click in a certain area around the target. In time clickers, you are given actual targets, in this case cubes, and different cubes take a different amount of damage to destroy with bosses every 5 levels. So to play actively, you actually have to click specific areas, at least until your helpers take over main damage duties. Also, most clicker games simply upgrade you in some way. Time clickers gives you time cubes, which you use in a skill tree to enhance specific things, such as ability length, helper damage, currency output from certain cubes, or even the chance of getting more time cubes per time they spawn. In this way, there is no end game, there is no last level. Some players have gotten into the thousands of levels. The reason I have this on my list is I play it pretty consistently despite how simple it is. At some point, it becomes formulaic, and honestly, that's really not all that bad. It's reliable, it's solid, it's always there for me. That alone gets it my 5th spot in free games on Steam. Now for an odd one that most of you probably have not heard of. On the surface, Princess Remedy looks like a simple game. It has dated but adorable graphics, the music is pretty basic, and you only play with a few buttons. However, it quickly becomes a really fun shooter. In this game, you play as the titular Princess Remedy, who has just graduated from heal school. Her colleague had been sent to Hurtland to heal people, but mysteriously disappeared. She is then sent down to heal the world. How do you heal the world? By going into injured people, monsters, and even plants and shooting viruses, and the like, with tiny pills and explosive flasks, of course. Each victory nets you hearts, which are used as points to get off portions of the game. By exploring Hurtland, you gain extra hearts and upgrades. Upgrades may make your attacks deal more damage, expand the spread of your weapon, or allow you to carry more grenade-like flasks. Each enemy you face has different attacks and strategies. Some simply move around, others stay in one place and shoot at you, and there are even some that pursue you. Each combat level is pretty short and confined, so you learn your limits for speed and attacks quickly. The difficulty curve for battles is actually pretty well done. The game gets difficult, but never really spikes in difficulty. The game grows with you and your upgrades. Thankfully, the penalty for loss is simply getting out of the battle, so the game is forgiving. Overall, I have played this game through several times, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It starts simple and is fairly short, but is one of the most likable games I've played in a long, long time. What would happen if you took the blocky aesthetic of Minecraft and sort of remade DayZ with it? You'd get a game that should be a hot mess, but instead, you'd end up with Unturned. Do not be fooled by the cutesy graphics, though. This is a zombie survival game through and through. Players are dropped off in a random spot in the chosen map, and from there on it's up to them to gather supplies, craft weapons, build shelter, and survive the hazards of a zombie apocalypse. It sounds simple, but it really isn't. Unless you are playing on a modded server or using cheats, you pretty much start out naked and unarmed. You really do have to find your first supplies. You have to keep track of several stats, such as hunger, thirst, and heat. Eating food refills hunger, drinking refills thirst, and being around fire or being in shelter refills heat. It sounds simple, but again, it really isn't. Starting out, it really is hard to find these things. Well, shelter can be found pretty easily in the form of cities and camps, but zombies often spawn there in droves. So, starting out in Unturned actually is similar to Minecraft in its approach, but skips the tree punching. Find an axe, get wood, build shelter, and get fire. Salvage for metal to get stuff to keep water in. Scrounge for food or grow it in secure locations. Make or get weapons, and hunt zombies for armor. Each time you kill a zombie, you get points you can put into skills. These skills do certain things, such as giving you more health, making you jump higher, and allowing you to aim more steadily. There are actually quite a few skills, and thanks to ever-spawning zombies, you'll never have a shortage of points if you're willing to hunt some Zeds. Of course, that is if other players don't kill you or get to the zombies first. The one downfall of Unturned matches the downfall of Minecraft. Once you get far enough in the game, there's not really much to do. This takes a long time, however, so the boredom is staved off for a long time. Despite the early difficulties of starting off, Unturned turns out to be a lot of fun when you get going. The joy of finding a rare piece of equipment, the stress of going through a heavily zombied town, the panic of being unprotected at night, during a full moon, which is when zombies go absolutely nuts. It's really cool, and I recommend it a lot. When I was growing up, I had a bit of a schedule every Saturday night. Turn on PBS, then watch The Red Green Show, then watch Robot Wars. It was actually Doctor Who sometimes, then they played Robot Wars. Robot Wars was amazing. Several teams of robotic engineers made little death machines to face off with each other and the bots that came with the arena, aka the house bots. Some robots flipped others, some robots had hammers or axes, there was even one with a piercing claw, and there was one with a spinning disc of doom. I always wanted to take part, but I have a terrible case of the stupid. I would end up making the simplest, easiest to defeat robot and be shunned into inexistence and shame. So instead, I play video games. Good trade-off, right? Luckily, someone decided to make a game about designing a robot to blow up other robots, and holy butts, it's tons of fun. Frustrating fun. In Robocraft, you are tasked with designing a robot with an assortment of transport and weapon options, and facing off against other player-controlled bots. You truly get to design the bot. It can be a sleek, speedy marauder or a tanky tank, blasting things from a distance behind shields. Get far enough into the tech skill trees and you can even make planes or helicopters. Other players also have these options, of course, so Robocraft actually does a fairly decent job of grouping together players of similar skill levels, or at least tech levels, so battles rarely seem unfair. There are multiple game modes, including the standard fare of free-for-all, Team King of the Hill, and Team Deathmatch. There's also challenge and boss modes, where 4 or 1 powerful players respectively face off against a large group of lower-leveled opponents. These boss battles happen randomly when chosen in normal Team Deathmatch modes. There's depth in these hills, too, since you're free to design your bot as you want, the constraints being you can only afford a certain amount of blocks correlated to your level. You have clearly infinite possibilities for battling. Putting 20 of these custom death bots in a match is a lot of chaotic fun. I will admit that the game is pay to win in some aspects, but I haven't spent a dime on it and I have loads of fun. It comes very highly recommended. This really shouldn't be a surprise. It was either going to be this or Dota 2. And you've probably noticed now that I mention it that Dota 2 isn't on this list, and the reason is simple. I find that MOBA games, for the most part, are more frustrating than rewarding, but that's a discussion for another time. So, Team Fortress 2. I've been playing this game since you've had to pay for it in the orange box. It's been installed on my computers no matter what since then. You see, most gamers who play FPS games grew up playing Halo, Quake, or Unreal. While I loved playing Halo on PC thanks to modded servers, the FPS I attached to most was, oddly enough, Delta Force. It was slower and rewarded patience. I don't know why, but I think that tempered me against the more frantic violence of other FPS games of the time. Then TF2 happened. While it was just as nutty fast as Unreal, there was an ease to the gameplay that made being a noob fun. See, in a lot of shooters, you have an assortment of weapons: rifle, rocket launcher, handgun, shotgun, so on and so on. TF2 took this and made it much more specific. Instead of choosing to use a rocket launcher, you pick the soldier class, who was the only class that used the launchers. Want to heal? Then you're a medic. Want to place turrets? Pick engineer. By specifying player roles with classes, TF2 made picking a game style easier. Scouts are fast and annoying. Heavies are slow but take forever to kill. Pyros burn all the things. Once you figure out who to fight as, you can customize their gear. And matching with the cartoon visuals, each weapon seems like a choice out of a Looney Tunes episode. They are all unique and do different things. Hell, there's a black Scottish Highlander who can forego having a grenade launcher for being able to blitz opponents with a claymore. The sniper can replace a submachine gun for a jar of his own piss to distort enemies' vision and make them take extra damage. Being a team shooter, there are your standard modes like Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill, and Capture the Flag. But there's more fun to be had. There's a mode where you push a cart of explosives to the enemy base, for example. There's even a tower defense-like mode where you face off against increasingly difficult waves of robot enemies. Whenever you kill someone, you have the chance of gaining random loot. Sometimes it's cosmetic changes like a hat, and sometimes it's a weapon. Other times it will be a loot crate, unlocked by keys purchased with actual money. While you can buy weapons with real money and a type of auction house, I imagine the game is supported by buying those keys. I have sunk an ungodly amount of time into TF2. It's just insanely fun to play. Whether it's for a quick session or a marathon of carnage, Team Fortress 2 is simply one of the best games for PC, let alone the best free game on Steam, in my opinion. So, that was the first Wayward List. First of many, I so hope. I don't know when the next one's going to come out, so keep your eyes open. I should also be uploading more videos soon. The quest for completion got kind of dumb because of the lag, but that's something else entirely. So, I'd like to give a special thank you to RushJet1, who I actually specifically asked to use his song in in the bumpers, rather. It's a song called Action Hero Select. The very, 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 very end. It's a rather short song, but it's a lot of fun. I like it. I like all of RushJet1's songs, actually. He's one of my favorite musicians, whether he's doing covers or original songs. You should go check him out. So if you like the video, don't be afraid to like, share, and subscribe. And keep your eyes out for the next video. Thank you. Have a good day, or night, or whenever it is for you. Have a good whenever.